Have you ever found yourself placing just one more bet, thinking that this time you'll win big? The excitement of the game, the thrill of the risk, it feels unstoppable, right? But what if I told you that the thrill you're chasing is actually hijacking your brain? Gambling addiction doesn't just drain your wallet, it takes control of your mind. And the deeper it goes, the harder it becomes to break free. Gambling addiction is a lot more than just a bad habit. It's a psychological trap that rewires your brain. Every time you gamble, your brain releases dopamine, the chemical responsible for feelings of pleasure and reward. This burst of dopamine is what keeps you coming back for more. The more you gamble, the more your brain starts to crave that next rush. And before you know it, it's no longer about the game. It's about the need to get that high. But why does this happen? To understand this, we have to look beyond just the behavior itself. Carl Jung, one of the most influential psychologists of all time, offers a powerful explanation. Jung believed that much of our behavior is driven by the unconscious mind, the hidden part of our psyche that shapes our thoughts, desires, and actions. When it comes to gambling, the unconscious mind is searching for something much deeper than just money. It's trying to fill a void. Whether it's the need for validation, a desire for power, or an escape from emotional pain, gambling becomes a way to cope with those deeper issues. In the beginning, gambling may feel like just a fun escape, a little bit of risk, a little bit of excitement. But the more you feed that craving, the stronger the addiction becomes. Your unconscious mind, driven by these unresolved emotional needs, convinces you that the next bet will be the one that fixes everything. But what happens when you lose? You double down, trying to win back what you've lost, hoping the next win will bring relief. This cycle becomes a powerful loop, with each loss making the addiction stronger and harder to break. Jung's theory of the unconscious mind helps us understand why gambling can take over so completely. He believed that when we ignore the deeper parts of ourselves, our fears, our insecurities, our unaddressed emotional pain, we create a shadow, a hidden force that influences our decisions in ways we don't even realize. For the gambler, the shadow is made up of the unmet emotional needs that they are trying to fulfill through gambling. The problem is, no matter how many wins they get, the emotional void remains. This unconscious drive to escape or gain control is what keeps gamblers locked in a cycle of addiction. It's not about the money or the game itself. It's about what gambling represents, and that's why it's so hard to stop. The brain becomes trapped in the need for that dopamine high, and the emotional pain never truly goes away. But here's the good news. Understanding how gambling addiction works and recognizing the role of the unconscious mind is the first step in breaking free. In the next parts of this video, we'll dive into the science behind the addiction, how it affects your brain, and how you can start regaining control. Because once you become aware of the forces driving you, you can begin to fight back. It's time to take your life back from the addiction and break the cycle once and for all. So now that we understand the unconscious forces at play, let's talk about the chemical trap, dopamine. Every time you place a bet, whether you win or lose, your brain releases dopamine. This chemical is responsible for that rush of excitement, the feeling that you're just one step away from something great. And the problem? Your brain doesn't know the difference between winning and almost winning. That near miss still gives you a dopamine hit. So even when you lose, you feel like you're close, and that keeps you hooked. Casinos, betting apps, and online games are designed with this in mind. They're not just games. They're psychological machines built to manipulate your reward system. Flashy lights, sound effects, spinning wheels. Every piece is crafted to stimulate your brain. And once that cycle begins, your brain starts to crave the next bet the same way it craves food, sex, or even drugs. It becomes a survival instinct, even though it's slowly destroying your peace of mind. But here's where it gets darker. Over time, the brain adapts. The same amount of dopamine no longer brings the same satisfaction. So to feel that original high, you need to gamble more. Higher stakes, more frequent bets, longer hours. You start chasing the dragon, looking for that first rush. the one that made you feel alive. But it never really comes back. Instead, what replaces it is anxiety, regret, and a deepening sense of loss. Carl Jung believed that addiction is often a substitute for genuine spiritual or emotional connection. In his view, when a person loses touch with their inner self, they search for meaning in external things, gambling being one of them. It becomes a ritual, a false path toward wholeness. But the more you walk that path, the further you drift from your true self. And this is where the unconscious mind plays another trick. It starts to build a false identity around the addiction. You're no longer someone who gambles, you become a gambler. It becomes who you are. And when that identity takes hold, it's incredibly difficult to let go. Because giving it up feels like losing a part of yourself. But in truth, it's not who you are, it's who you became to survive. The real battle isn't just with the behavior, it's with the story. Your brain keeps telling you that you need this, that you can win it back, that you're in control. But you're not yet. In the next part, we'll explore the cycle of shame, secrecy, and self-sabotage that keeps this addiction alive, and how facing your shadow, as Jung describes it, is the key to breaking free. You told yourself it was just for fun, that you had it under control, that you could stop whenever you wanted. But then came the lies, the secret bets, the silent nights staring at the ceiling, wondering how it got this far. Welcome to the hidden layer of gambling addiction, the cycle of shame. Shame is the silent fuel that keeps addiction burning. It doesn't shout, it whispers. It tells you you're broken, that you're weak, that no one would understand. So you hide, you pretend everything's fine, but deep inside you know something is wrong. You're not just gambling with money anymore, you're gambling with your dignity, your relationships, your future. Carl Jung had a name for this place, the shadow. It's the part of ourselves we try to reject, the version of us we don't want anyone to see. But when we bury it, it doesn't disappear, it gains power. The shadow begins to drive us from behind the scenes. And the more we deny it, the more control it takes. When you feel shame after a loss, your shadow grows. And to escape that shame, you gamble again, hoping for a win that will fix everything. But the win never really fixes anything. It just resets the cycle. Temptation, risk, loss, shame, repeat. You start to believe that this is just who you are now. But that's the lie. The truth is, you're not weak. You're not broken. You're human. And being human means having flaws, having wounds, and sometimes trying to fill those wounds with the wrong things. Gambling gives you the illusion of control in a world that often feels chaotic. But Jung would say the real power comes not from escaping chaos, but from facing it. The key is integration, bringing the shadow into the light, understanding why it's there, and learning to live with it, not run from it. So how do you start? You talk, you share, you admit what's happening, not just to others, but to yourself. That takes more courage than any high-stakes bet. The moment you shine light on your shadow, it starts to lose its grip. That shame you've been carrying, it thrives in silence. But once you name it, once you say, "I'm struggling," it begins to fade. Recovery isn't just about quitting the behavior. It's about healing the part of you that was hurting to begin with. And yes, it's hard, but staying stuck in a loop of shame and secrecy is even harder. In the next part, we'll dive into what recovery actually looks like. Not just the steps to take, but the mindset to build. Because if you want to truly break free, you'll need more than willpower. You'll need self-awareness, compassion, and the courage to rewrite the story your brain has been telling you. Breaking free from gambling addiction isn't just about stopping a habit. It's about reclaiming the parts of yourself that the addiction silenced. And that means doing the inner work, the kind of work Carl Jung spent his life exploring. Jung believed that transformation happens when we confront what we've been avoiding, our fears, our insecurities, our unmet needs. He called this process individuation, the journey of becoming whole. And for someone battling addiction, individuation isn't just a spiritual idea, it's survival. Because addiction fragments the self. It disconnects you from your values, your relationships, your purpose. You stop recognizing the person in the mirror. But healing doesn't mean going back to who you were before. It means becoming someone new, someone stronger, wiser, more aware. So what does that look like? First, awareness. You can't change what you don't see. Start noticing your triggers. When do you feel the urge to gamble? Is it when you're stressed, lonely, bored? What thoughts come up right before you open that app or walk into that betting shop? Write them down. Look at them. They're not random. They're patterns. And once you see the pattern, you can start to break it. Second, accountability. Addiction thrives in secrecy. But when you bring others into your process, whether it's a friend, a therapist, or a support group, you begin to break that isolation. You start to see you're not alone. And more importantly, you realize that your worth isn't tied to your worst mistake. Third, replacing the ritual. Gambling isn't just a behavior, it's a ritual. A way to cope, a way to feel something. So don't just remove it, replace it. With movement, with connection, with creativity, with anything that reminds you that you're alive and capable of joy without risking everything. Fourth, face the shadow. Jung taught that ignoring the darker parts of ourselves only gives them more power. So instead of running from the shame, the regret, the fear, turn and face them. Ask, what was I really looking for in gambling? Was it control, excitement, validation? These aren't bad desires, they're human. But maybe it's time to find healthier ways to meet them. And finally, forgiveness. You won't recover if you keep punishing yourself. You've made mistakes, yes, but you're not your mistakes. Every day you choose recovery, you're choosing to rise. That's strength. That's courage. That's growth. This isn't a quick fix. It's a slow, painful, but beautiful journey back to yourself. The you that still exists underneath the addiction. The you that is worth saving. In the final part, we'll talk about staying free, how to rebuild your identity, your purpose, and your future without gambling. Because recovery isn't just about not betting. It's about learning how to live again. So, you've begun the fight. You've opened your eyes to the patterns. You've faced the shame, confronted the shadow, and started the journey inward. But now comes the real challenge. Who are you without gambling? Addiction can become an identity. For months, maybe years, gambling wasn't just a thing you did. It was a part of how you lived, how you coped, even how you saw yourself. So when you begin to heal, there's a strange emptiness, like a hole where the chaos used to be. That's normal. That's part of the process. Carl Jung wrote that we don't become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. And now that you've faced that darkness, you're finally free to build something new. This isn't about becoming someone perfect. It's about becoming someone real. Recovery is not a return to innocence. It's a move toward wholeness. And that wholeness comes when you stop defining yourself by your past and start creating a future. So ask yourself, what do I want my life to stand for? That might sound like a big question, but sit with it. Do you want to be a present parent, a loyal friend, a creator, a thinker, a builder? Every time you say no to a bet, you're saying yes to that person. But don't do this alone. Build your support system. Whether it's therapy, a 12-step group, a mentor, or even a community online, surround yourself with people who remind you that healing is possible, that growth is possible, that a future without addiction isn't just a fantasy, it's your right. And yes, there will be setbacks. You'll have bad days. Urges will come. That voice in your head might whisper, just one time, but you've heard that voice before, and you know where it leads. Instead, pause, breathe, remember who you're becoming. Jung believed in the power of meaning, that when we give our suffering meaning, it transforms us. So maybe your struggle with gambling wasn't just destruction, it was initiation. A path that forced you to wake up, to look deeper, and to rebuild from the inside out. Recovery isn't about becoming a different person. It's about finally becoming you. The version of yourself that doesn't need the thrill of the bet to feel alive. The version that knows peace is louder than chaos, and presence is richer than any jackpot. You've already taken the hardest step. You stopped lying to yourself. Now keep going. Your story isn't over. In fact, it's just beginning. If this message resonated with you, please consider subscribing to Broken Loop. Your support helps us keep creating honest, thoughtful content for those navigating life's hardest moments. Like the video if it brought you value. Share it with someone who might need to hear this today. And if you feel comfortable, drop a comment. We'd love to hear your thoughts or your story. You're not alone. We're in this together.